All right. Hello, space dogs. I'm here. I still exist. How's that? Oh, I know this was very unplanned, so I'm gonna give it a few minutes for people to file in, I guess. This is gonna be very informal and very uh, very messy. I usually have this thing where I specifically uh, do not. Well, I have like this mantra where it's like it should be magic, um, and so I always try my best to like hide cables and any kind of like stuff um, like on my streams so that all you see is just whatever I want you to see, right? So just the game and just me and nothing else. Um, so that it's not like distracting and everything looks neat and tidy. Well, I did none of that for this stream. I just slapped this together as quickly as I possibly could, and like the if you see like there's wires hanging out down there that are just kind of all over the place, and um, there's there's a microphone somewhere or a camera and a microphone. Where is the microphone? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, just like hanging out. So you'll see like lots of um, you'll see lots of garbage basically hanging around, and I'm gonna. I'm also noticing I'm using this selfie stick, right? Like that's not a thing that I normally do. That it was just sitting around. I'm like, oh, I can use this, and apparently uh and this is literally just my what do you call my phone in there, right? And I guess so. I'm using it as an IP web camera to go to the broadcast. Hopefully, you can hear me okay because it's using the camera mic too. But what I'm noticing is that apparently, as I if I'm using it just as a camera, um, like all of the, or I should say, none of the motion stabilization stuff actually works. So I apologize for slightly shaky cam. But anyway, all right. Um, uh, let's see here. I know it's been like a whole month since I've been online, and jeez, what a month it's been. It's just been absolutely, um, just been bonkers. Let me grab a drink real quick. Do do do. It's like, oh no, it's going to be the first spill on my new carpet. Ah, no. But anyway, what I thought I'd do here is like give a little tour of where we're at here, uh, like with the room, and then I've got some pictures and a little bit of video that I took when we were putting everything together that I'll share with people just to kind of give you a little peek at the process that went into this. It is still in process, however. So like this is definitely a work in progress. We're not quite done yet, but we're getting there. Um, Let me look at the chat real quick and say hello, Josh and Blader Kev and Dad. Hello, and Elex, Dance Dance North Regen. Yeah. Good to see you all again. Thanks for showing up to my what do you call? Thanks for showing up to my impromptu stream that was unannounced. Although I guess I did schedule it, like 3 minutes in advance on YouTube, so perhaps you saw it there. But hey, I know who rang the bell now, right? Because you got the you got the notification, obviously. But okay, you said the camera mic is a little crappy, but you can hear. All right, yeah, I mean, it's the best I can do for right now. It's also like just ridiculously lagged. But anyway, Blader Kev, is Reflect Beat in my basement? No, it is not. Tiramazi likes to bug me about getting it, but to be honest with you, I don't really care for the game that much. I mean, I've played it a couple of times. I don't hate it. It didn't really grab me. It was just kind of like, well, okay, I played it, and then that was it. But I would definitely I would definitely hold out the possibility that I just don't get it. I wasn't playing it to the point where I would understand what there is to love about that game. But that being said, other games like DDR or like U-Beat, for example, it's like, I played those games and immediately was like, oh yeah, this is great. I love this. I want to keep playing it. And Reflect Beat just didn't do that for me. So, not like I said, I'm not hating on it. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't. It just didn't grab me. It didn't grab my attention. And I definitely do not have room for it at this point. So anyway, since it looks like people, or a decent number of people are here, let's take the tour real quick. So to update any of you that were not aware, the big thing that happened is we installed this carpet down here in the basement. I've talked about it on a couple of my recent streams. We were looking at the samples of it and stuff like that, but it's here and it's on the floor. It is literally glued to the floor. This is for real now. And I mean, honestly, I love it. I mean, it's just if you hadn't seen the old the way the room used to look, it had this beige and brown Berber carpet on each side of the basement, and then the center section was this wood floating floor stuff. It was fine, but I mean, it was super generic. And the big problem that I had was that by the way, I'm far away from the what do you call the the streaming computer now, so I cannot see the chat. So hopefully everything. So if you say anything, it'll be a couple minutes before I get around to responding to it. Plus, hopefully, since this camera is wireless and everything, it will hold together. I won't see if there's a problem, nor will I see anybody being like, Brian, the camera's dropped. And I'll be like, ah, crap. But anyway, so the big problem that I was having, though, with the old floor was basically that because it was carpet and then hard floor and then carpet, there was a transition strip between the flooring types. on each side, and it made it, it really broke the room up in a way that I didn't really like, and it kind of made it so that in some cases you couldn't really, or I didn't want to like split a machine across where half of it was on the hard floor and half of it was on the carpet. One, because it just looked weird, but also two, the height, there was a little bit of a height difference between the carpet and the wood floor that would make the cabinet a little bit wonky. So now the whole basement is all like one unified type of floor, and that is giving me the ability to kind of or to put machines in places that are or to move machines into places that I couldn't before or didn't want to before. So I'm also taking this opportunity to literally just move everything around. The basement had the layout hadn't really changed in a while, but as I had gotten new games, I kind of would just like stick them in wherever they would fit, and maybe and move the fewest amount of machines around as I could, because I'm lazy. But the result of that was that it was just kind of a hodgepodge. There was no like real like theming or intentionality to how the machines were arranged, and I'm trying to do that a little bit better now. So anyway, if you see behind me, those are the stairs that come down to the basement. That's actually the same old carpet that was there before, which actually is not the carpet that was in the basement. This is just like random carpet that got put in at some point. But probably will change that carpet eventually, but it just wasn't part of the plan for right now. Like I said, this is a work in progress, so things will be changing over time. But anyway, so I decided that, as you come down the stairs into the basement, the first thing you should see is the new DDR cabinet. This is kind of the crown jewel of my collection. I don't know. I love it. Obviously, it's not on right now, but I love the light show. It was a cabinet that I wanted for a long time, and then, finally got it last year, and I'm just really excited about it. So that'll be the first thing that you see. And as it turned out, now the way that this all worked out, all of the newer games that are LCD displays are on this side of the basement, the entry side of the basement, basically. So, we've got Sound Voltex and U-Beat and Gitadora, which actually Gitadora used to be over there on that section. Drum Mania was up against the wall, and then Guitar Freak's closer in. But I've moved them to the back wall now. If you never caught my Gitadora streams, there's a funny story about Gitadora. The basement has, if you look above me here, there's this bulkhead at the ceiling that is that comes down about an extra foot from the ceiling. The ceiling is a little bit low to begin with. I think it's 7'6" or 7'8". So it's a little lower than like a standard 8-foot ceiling, because we're in a basement. But then this bulkhead brings it down an additional foot, which is kind of low clearance. I mean, if you look at me, I'm 5'8", and that's not a ton of space above my head there. But anyway, inside this bulkhead is a steel beam that runs all the way across the entire width of the basement. It's what holds the house up, so it's kind of important. But anyway, because it drops another foot, it makes the clearance for machines very low. It means that the stacks on Guitar Freaks are like literally a quarter inch shorter than the bulkhead comes down, so it just fits underneath. When it was on the other side, it actually, for the main cabinet of Guitar Freaks, the bulkhead actually sat over part of the marquee right next to the light. So the light is too high for the bulkhead, but the top of the marquee will fit. I've got a little bit more space on this side, so I don't have that problem, but this guy's still under there. UB also sits under the bulkhead. There's like 3 or 4 cabinets down here that are short enough to go under the bulkhead, and they have a tendency to like determine how things are gonna get laid out, or they're the ones that get placed first, and then everything else kind of goes around it. But anyway, we got Drum Mania over here, and what is this? Groove Coaster. Groove Coaster. And actually, I got a groove stage for Groove Coaster recently, so that's cool. I quite enjoy it. I gotta say, Technica and 2DX both have shaker stages with them, but man, the groove stage for Groove Coaster, like, absolutely crushes them. Like, it's so much stronger. It feels better. It's way easier to deal with. Like, I can pick it up by myself. It's not a big deal. It mounts the machine way easier. Yeah. Technica isn't too bad. 2DX sucks. I hate that frickin' thing. It's heavy, and it's a pain in the ass to deal with, and not that great at the end of the day. It's kind of weak sauce, but it is what it is. I actually have the shaker stage for Technica is not connected right now because when we moved all the machines around, I had to disconnect it, and I promptly lost the cable. Nope. So I got to make a new cable for it to reconnect it, but that shouldn't be too hard. But anyway, there's actually a patio door. There is outside. I don't like going outside, but there is an outside. There's like literally woods behind my house. It's crazy because during the summer it looks like this and it's like solid. During the winter, when all the leaves fall off the trees, you can actually see there's a creek out there, and then there's way back, there's a whole nother neighborhood on the other side of the creek. But during the summer, can't tell. But we got, anyway, so this is kind of the dividing line. The door becomes kind of the dividing line. So that's, more modern games are over there with all the LCD monitors, and then we move into CRT territory. So we've got Dance Maniacs and Poppin' Music. 2DX is sort of an exception. I don't have the original monitor on it. That's a plasma. The original monitor would have been a LCD rear projector, but it time-wise it fits over here correctly, and also I have it over here close to DDR so that I'll still be able to do the DDR 2DX link. I have decided against, so it used to be the way this is set up here behind me, DDR with pump right next to it, is the way that those two machines have been for well over a decade, or had been for well over a decade, until 2020, when I moved pump back into the back corner back here, and brought 2DX and put it in its place, and then 2DX and DDR were side by side so I could do the link. That was, I mean, for the link, I think that is aesthetically the nicest looking thing. But the reality is I don't do the link that often. And unfortunately, having Pump in that back corner meant that I couldn't really get I couldn't get the stage out as far from the cabinet as I would have liked. So I like having it in this location better. So it's going to come back here, but 2DX will be, nearby. So, if I want to do the link, it'll just look like that. They'll be kind of catty-corner to each other, which isn't maybe ideal, but should be okay. And then I've kind of gathered all of the non-rhythm games into this back section over here. You can see I've got my drivers over on this side, Crazy Taxi and Daytona. Drivers, Crazy Taxi, driver. I always like to call Crazy Taxi a driving themed game because pretty much nothing you do in it, pretty much anything you do in Crazy Taxi, if you were to do it in real driving, you're gonna die or kill somebody or both. So yeah, driving themed game. And then we've got my two laser games, Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, and this sad candy cabinet down here. Now, it's not sad because it's a candy cabinet. I actually like it, but it's sad because I think it's been about 4 years since this thing has worked. The flyback transformer for the CRT, ooh, that's a nice sound, literally blew up. Like, there's a hole in it. Unfortunately, this is a monitor that appears to exist in Japan only, so I have been unable to find a new transformer for it, a new flyback for it, and so here it sits. But I do have some spare monitors in the back that now that I've got everything moved around, I'll see if I can get a new monitor in there and get this darn thing working again. But and then back here in this little alcove, this is where Sound Voltex used to be, and Poppin' Music used to be here longer ago, but most recently Sound Voltex was in here. That's where Irritating Maze is going to go. However, Irritating Maze is currently hanging out here in the bar, just being out of the way. The bar got new floor too, but it's like this, they're like these vinyl planks that kind of look like wood, but it's a hard surface floor. It just seemed better for being inside the bar than the carpet. The carpet people assured me that it would be fine to put carpet in the bar, and that if it got wet, it would be fine. But at the last minute, I changed my mind, and we put so. Plus, actually, I have to throw a shout out to my friend Adrian, who, without whom none of this would have happened. He used to install carpet professionally, but he has gone on to he's a teacher now, and he moved out of state, far away. But he's done some of the flooring, he's done actually a bunch of the flooring in my house previously. He did tile in my kitchen and some bathrooms, and put some carpet in bedrooms and stuff like that. And I asked him if he would be willing to do this project, and he graciously agreed. I literally flew him out here to do it. And then he was here for a week, and this will be the story that I tell here in a minute. We went, basically it was 2 days of tearing down everything in the basement, and then 2 days of installing carpet, and then clean up. And the cleanup has been ongoing. I've obviously, like, the bar's an absolute mess of, like, just stuff everywhere, and most of the stuff is up off the floor. Oh, I guess I should say one more too. There's Flash Beats over there. I don't intend for it to be there. It will probably be, kind of in this middle section behind me. If you see that great big bag chair, it's called a Zorby. It's actually filled with like foam rubber chunks instead of like it's not styrofoam beans. It's way more comfortable. But Flash Beats will probably go like around here, and that chair will get relocated. There's also like a futon down here that I don't know. Seating's always been a real issue. Well, I shouldn't say it's always been a real issue. It used to be fine. Like a little backstory, I moved into this house at the end of 2002, and my goal / intent was, at the time, all I wanted a DDR machine, and I wanted a pool table. And you'll notice, if you've been like listening to this tour here, there's no pool table, right? That went away, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. Really, people stopped playing it ages ago. I probably hadn't even taken the cover off of it in 4 years at that point. And when I went to get Ghidorah, basically the only place that it would fit in the basement was roughly where the pool table was. And unfortunately, well, the pool table would have fit, but pool tables need quite a bit of space around them, for the sticks to be able to move around. So there wasn't any way that I could keep the pool table at least playable. You would have been stabbing Ghidorah with your pool cues all the time, and that's not really workable. So I sold the pool table. Still have DDR, even though I have the new DDR, but I've kept the old one as well. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so moved in at the end of 2002, and by January of 2003, like, mission complete. I had the pool table, I had the DDR machine, and as far as I was concerned at that time, I was done, And if you can imagine, like, how much space is down here, and this basement wasn't finished at all at the time, so it was completely unfinished, and like this bar wasn't here, and so you can imagine like how much extra space there was with just a pool table and the DDR machine. But and it would stay like that for, I want to say, 2.5 years or something like that. And then eventually I got Pump It Up. So then I had two machines, right? And I can't remember what I got next. It was either Dance Maniacs or it was Daytona. But in either case, what I learned a valuable but also dangerous lesson that with arcades, there's a certain sweet spot, if you will, where if there's a game that is no longer supported or no longer sold, / no longer popular, that's in an arcade, in an operating arcade, that arcade is likely to sell that game for pennies on the dollar, because it's taking up space on their floor that a game that would actually make the money could be. And so you can get some like just outrageous deals on games if you're patient and what do you call and if you're patient and you do a little bit of like research and legwork. But for instance, I think back in, gosh, it would have been 2006 or 7, something like that. I picked up this Dance Maniacs for like $600. So, you know, it was a steal, really. And like I said, it's a valuable but dangerous lesson, because then I was like, oh, I can actually get games and not spend a ton of money, and then I can get more games, right? And so, you know, over the course of, gosh, it's been 20 years now, almost 19 years, you know, I've accumulated like 21 machines. 21 machines is how many I have currently. Actually, if you were counting along, you should be at 19 right now. And the reason is 20 and 21 are back here in the storage room. You can see the what do you call? There is the cocktail cabinets, Pac-Man, and I had a 16 one. They're actually just stacked on top of each other there. But I have not pulled those back out yet. I'm not exactly sure where I want to put them. They would fit where before, which is over here, you know, like kind of at the base of the stairs. You know, like right in this area. Theming wise, that's kind of broken compared considering what I'm doing now. And the reality is that not a lot of people play those, including me, so I might just let them go too. I don't know. That's to be determined, but that's where 20 and 21 are. Anyway, let me get over here to the actual streaming computer and try and catch up on the chat, because I know there's probably a bunch. And okay, let me I don't really like use selfie sticks. I think Belinda must have bought this one. I just found it on the bar earlier, and I was like, hey, I could use this. But turn this off. Anyway, can you hear me okay? You should be hearing me from the mic that is way over here. This is actually the normal mic this is the mic that I use on my normal streams, but it's usually hanging from the ceiling. I just have it like sitting on a mic stand right now for this the purpose of this stream. I can probably move it a little bit closer. For now. And you'll see that the stages over here are in like extra challenge mode. I'll tell you. Well, so I'll tell the story. Let me check on the chat, and then I'll tell a bunch of stories, and we'll and I'll explain why they are sitting the way they are right now. Let me grab my drink. Ugh. You said there's a buzz in the mic regen. Is it there now, or it was before? Um, Now? Oh, well, that's not good. Hold on, let me see what I can do about that. Let me check all of my cables. Um, did that help at all, or um, is it still buzzing? Let me see if I can hear it myself too. Well, dang it. Oh yeah, I do hear it. Um, hmm. Ooh, that. It sounds like it changes a little bit with. I mean, it sounds like interference. That's weird. Hmm. Yeah, I'm checking all the things. Like I said, I kind of threw this together in a hurry. Um, I was more concerned about the microphone on the whatchamacall not working on my phone. I tested that. I didn't even think to test this microphone because this is I've been using for and it's never given me problems. So, but of course it will now. Why wouldn't it? Hmm. Hang on one second. Let me grab a light. It's like dark over there and I can't see. Why does everything have to be hard? Yeah, I agree. It does sound like power, but it's not running across any power. It is a extremely long. It's like a 25-foot cable though, which it doesn't need to be for this particular stream. That just happens to be what I normally use. Let me grab a different cable and see if I get better results. 1 second. For laughs, try turning the light off. I mean, I can try that. I still hear it. Um, so those are just the room lights. I normally have um, like like for lack of a better it makes them sound fancier than they are, but for lack of a better term, I normally have studio lights that I use for the streams that I'm not using right now. But let me go grab. I have another cable, but um, so unfortunately, when I tore down everything for the to do the carpet, and again, this will be a story that I tell here in a minute. It just like things got put away, and that's a very loose statement, but things got put away all over the place, and including all of my cables for streaming. So I don't know exactly where everything is right now, but let me go. Let me go. I know I have other cables upstairs, so let me grab one real quick. Alrighty, I am back. This is, I got some more XLR cables, but I also have a USB. Um, so, uh, this mic will run either. I normally run it XLR. In fact, yeah. Um, but, um, but let's try it over USB for a second. Ugh. Okay. Um, oh. Well, I'm going to need to adjust the gain a lot. 1 second. Okay. How does that sound? Looks like I could use a little bit more volume on that. All right. How are we doing? Does that sound decent now? All right. Yay. Um, hold on. Yeah. This is my party time light or something. I don't know. Anyway, so this is a Yeti Pro. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with Yetis. I mean, they're kind of, you know, they're pretty common. The Pro adds the ability to use it either in analog mode over XLRs or in digital mode over USB. I almost, well, honestly, I think this is the first time I've run this over USB. In my early streams from like 2020, I was using a regular Yeti in USB mode since that's all they do. And I've had a lot of trouble with synchronization. Basically, what would happen is twofold. Number one, the sound coming in through the mic would come in at one delay, if you will, at one speed, right? But then the sound coming from the game would come in with a different delay, and so they would be out of sync with each other. And since I'm playing music games, that sounds awful. You get a lot of things where, if you hear like bass hits or drum beats, it would be like boom 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 boom, instead of a solid hit. And then depending on how far out of sync they were, it would just sound like absolute mud and just terrible. Obviously, in OBS you can set up delays to, delay one of them to, bring them into sync with each other. But for some reason, and I never could figure it out, that
first of all, that delay would be different every stream. So like every time I would start OBS, I would have to listen to it and reset it to get them back into sync with each other. And then like over the course of a, 2 or 3 hour stream, they would drift apart from each other, and everything would be terrible again. And I tried a lot of things to try and fix that, and eventually I was just like, I'm done with it. And I was like, we're just going to handle it all in the analog space. And I got a mixer, a old school analog mixer, plug the microphone into it, plug the game audio into it, and it is 100% impossible for them to get out of sync with each other. Now, I have to sync the audio with the video, but that's real easy to do, and that doesn't drift for some reason. Don't know why. But even if it did drift, audio out of sync with the video within a certain tolerance, you don't even notice. But audio out of sync with each other, it is just a awful nightmare. It's terrible. So anyway, I bought this mic specifically to run it in analog mode, and I've been doing it that way for, over a year now. So I think this is actually the very first time I've run it in USB. But I don't know where that interference is coming from. It could be those cables have gone bad. That happens sometimes. But it could be anything, because everything's just kind of gotten turned upside down and turned inside out, and I don't know. I don't know anymore. But that'll definitely be something that I'll need to check and test before I do my next regular stream, because I stopped in the middle of that would have been interesting. I started wrapping these cables up, and it was still plugged into the mixer. But anyway, I'm still in the middle of my Pump It Up series. I last streamed the Premiere and Prex, so the next stream should be Premiere 2, Prex 2, and I guess, gosh, I can't think, what is it, the Rebirth, I think? But I'm hoping to get that ready for tomorrow, but I can't promise, because obviously I've got to put this machine back together first of all, and I've got to reset all of the streaming stuff, the overhead camera and the mic and the main camera and everything else. So it could be it could take me longer than I'd like, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, gosh, that was a long detour, because I was gonna check the chat like a billion years ago, right? And all right. Just grabbing my drink again. So, yeah, this is rolling back to like 45 minutes ago, from when I started the tour, right? But I'm just gonna kind of scan through the chat and answer any questions that I see. I'll if I miss yours, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try and be as quick as I can here. Blader Kev was saying, looking forward to U-Beat streams. That is next after I finish Pump. So yeah, I'm. Lex said that as well. So, let's see. Josh said, have I had any interest in WMMT? I don't know what WMMT is. But yeah, I don't know. And oh, playing at midnight, Mac. Oh, that game. No, I don't have any interest in it. So sorry. Or is that a joke because of the guy that used to always come in and ask for that, like literally every stream. But one thing I forgot to mention, the carpet is blacklight reactive, so we're just looking at it under normal light right now, but it should glow, and the next phase of this project is going to be like replacing the lights in the room, and I'm going to try and add, if I might add some black lights, some real black lights, but I've also noticed that if you get like the RGB lights, that if you set them to like purple and blue, you get a very similar glow effect to blacklight, with blacklight reactive things, and you get the added bonus of having some actual visible light in the room as well, which makes it a little bit easier to see. Now, I don't know, I mean, the blacklight stuff and the glow will be awesome for like parties and having people over live. I don't know how much of that is going to happen on stream. It's a real tough thing to capture on camera, and have it be anything that's like, that looks decent. So I'll experiment with it. If I can get some of the glow in to streams, I absolutely will. But I don't know for sure how that's going to work. I tried to show the glow on the samples a month ago when I before I did this, and my gosh, it was just an absolute pain in the butt. Like trying to get the camera set in a way that it showed anything. Like you could show the glow, but then like literally everything else was dark. Like you couldn't see people or anything like that. It's hard. It's definitely one of those things where, like the way cameras see and the way eyeballs see are two different things. And that was one where they're really pretty far apart. But Josh asked if I'd get a Sound Voltex generator. It'd be fun to have one, but there's two problems. Number one, if you looked, like I really don't have much space for it at this point. And number two, I think getting paper for them is kind of a pain. I don't know. I do know where I could get a generator. I don't know where I could get paper for it. So it would end up being like a big useless paperweight. It'd be kind of neat though. I'm not against it, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Let's see. Bronx Yordle said, Crazy Taxi sit-down cab. Yeah, it's an oddball in my collection for sure. I will say, funny thing about Crazy Taxi for me, like, oh, here, time for a dumb story, right? I had, growing up as a kid, I had an Atari 2600. That was my, like, home console. And then nothing. Like, I was a PC gamer from probably the mid to late 80s until well into the 90s. In fact, almost to the end of the 90s. So I didn't have, I didn't have an NES, I didn't have a Super Nintendo, didn't have a Genesis, I didn't have, GameCube or N64 or any of that stuff. I didn't have a PlayStation. I totally missed out on all of those consoles until the Dreamcast. And I bought a Dreamcast for two reasons. Number one, by the time I bought it, it was $99, so it seemed pretty. It seemed like a pretty easy purchase. Like it didn't feel that expensive, right? And number two, I wanted to play Crazy Taxi because I played it at the arcade. I loved it. I thought it was a really cool game, and that was the only way that I was going to be able to play it at home. And so there we go, Dreamcast. But now I have an actual cabinet. That's another one that was just I think I actually traded for this, so I didn't even pay real money for it. But anyway. Yeah, the Laserdisc games are in pretty good shape. This is responding to Bronx Yordle again. Obviously, I don't have them on right now, but they're I've had those maybe 10 years or so, maybe 10 or 12 years. I got real lucky. They were a little bit more expensive, but they were really cheap compared to what they are now. I think I got both of them for less than what you would pay to get one of them now. Because they're, well, obviously, in the last couple of years, everything's gone up, especially this year, in price. But also, those cabinets are, they're not getting any more common. Given that they're, they're coming up on 40 years old now. Trying to get a hold of one means finding a collector who is willing to let theirs go, right? And those are getting fewer. That's getting harder to do, and I think the price speaks to that. But Josh said suggested Game Sorrow on the candy cab. I think I did ask him. I did a lot of asking around, honestly, on the candy, trying to get that monitor fixed. And I almost got somewhere one time. It's just, I think, short of going to Japan and walking into an arcade shop, and telling being able to get parts. I just don't see that is going to happen. Now, there are some options that I could do to maybe revive that monitor. They make a universal chassis that I could possibly basically use the same tube but put a new chassis on it. That could work. There are also some other monitors that are more common that might have compatible chassis that I could possibly use. But at this stage, I think what I'm going to do is probably, like I said, get one of those monitors that I have in storage out and if it fits, just use it. So hopefully, that will. Hopefully, I'll have a working candy again soon. I'm grabbing a chair because I'm feeling lazy. There we go. All right. So let's see here. Bronx Yordle said, would I say that I have every cabinet I would ever want, or are there others that I would love to have? So I would say, gosh, I hope you're still on I hope the people that I'm answering are still on to hear these answers, but if not, I guess check the VOD, right? The answer to that question is no. Of course, there are other games that I would like to have. I've had games over the years that have gone away. I think the most notable probably was Pair Paradise. I had that cabinet for a few years, but I ultimately sold it. I actually had Keyboard Mania and Drum Mania, and I had a friend's Guitar Freaks, so we were able to do the multi-session link between all three games. I was never into original Guitar Freak, so I never had a cabinet of my own. But I ultimately sold. Well, so that friend had Guitar Freaks and Drum Mania of his own already, and I ended up giving him the Keyboard Mania. So he has the three now that he could link. I don't. I got rid of my Drum Mania. It seemed redundant after I got the new Guitadora setup. So I don't have any of those games anymore. What else has come and gone? I actually had 6 seats of Daytona at one time. That was pretty ridiculous. It literally took almost the whole back wall of the basement. What I ended up doing was harvesting the best parts from all 3 pairs, and made the pair that I have now. And then sold off the other 2 pairs. 6-person races are awesome. Obviously, Daytona supports up to 8, but I never had 8. But the reality is, like, how often does that happen, right? It's so rare for me even to have 2 people racing here. So it was a lot of space for something that just didn't get used that often. What else have I had? And this is actually, I think, this is my 3rd Pump It Up machine. I've upgraded over time. Not really. I had a GX, and then I had another GX, and then I have this SX version 2. The reason behind it was I actually bought. This is the only cabinet I've ever bought, like, brand new in box. So that's the reason why that happened. I think that's my 3rd Poppin' Music machine. I had 2 Animelo style cabinets prior to the boxy style cabinet. The boxy one was what I wanted. I had gotten the Animelo ones because they were available, but then once I finally got the kind that I wanted, I sold the other ones off. As far as I can't think of anything else that I've had and has gone away off the top of my head. But as far as things that I've wanted to have but never had, things that I've thought about getting that I either like looked into but never did, it never came to be. Taiko no Tatsujin. I looked into getting one of those for a while. I thought about getting a DDR solo. I don't really love solo gameplay, but god damn do I love like solo bass mix music and Solo 2000. I'm content just playing 4-panel mode on my standard cabinet, though. That's good enough for me. Man, I wish they would bring some of those songs back and make doubles charts, though. That'd be awesome. Let's see what else. I thought about My, but I never got it. I thought about Tunithum, but I never got it. Hell, I would love to have Dance Rush, but that hasn't happened either. So those are like, of all of those, I think the only ones that I'm still like, if I had the opportunity, and you know the price was right and I had the opportunity, the only ones of that list that I would actually maybe move on now would be probably Tunithum and Dance Rush. The other ones, I mean, I still think they're good games, but like that time is past. Like I'm not so into them that I would go through the trouble of buying them today. The other issue being that anything, if I was going to buy anything now, it means I would have to sell something, because I just don't have room for anything else right now. And that being said, there's not much down here that I really am willing to let go. So, I don't know. That was a long, that was a long answer, I think, huh? Oh, Max was on. Hey, Max. If you're still there. Oh, yeah. Alex mentioned the $400 Para deal. I'll give you the short the short story of that. Was there was a arcade in my town that was closing, and so they were getting rid of all of their games. Rhythm game wise, they had a DDR Extreme. They had a Percussion Freaks 8th, I think it was. Maybe it was 6th. I can't remember. Or was it 3rd? Doesn't matter. Percussion Freaks. Export Drum Mania. And they had the Para. They sold off. I didn't need the DDR. I had one. I didn't need the Drum Mania. I had one. They sold off all of their other games, like regular non-rhythm games. But apparently, like, the one that they could not sell was Para, and they called me on the phone, and they were like, hey, do you want this Para machine? And I was like, not really. I mean, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the game, but I didn't really want it that bad. And they're like, come on, please, like, make us an offer. And I was like, fine. And I made them like this lowball offer, expecting them to say no. But, and I was like, $400. And they're like, okay, when can you pick it up? And I was like, oh shit, they called my bluff. So yeah, I had a para machine for $400. Um, but yeah, I mean, of all the machines that I've let go, that is probably the one that was, like the most unique. That maybe I wouldn't say I'm a little bit sad that I don't have it anymore, but again, the reality was it didn't get played that much, so um, it you know you got to make cuts somewhere. But anyway. My dad mentioned getting Pac-Man for the Atari 2600, which, by the way, the Atari 2600 Pac-Man is like a trash port of Pac-Man. But damn it, we loved it at the time because it's all we had. I remember, though, I think it was my birthday. Um, the, my parents were going to get me the Pac-Man, but it hadn't been released yet, and so my mom made this really cute certificate with like construction paper, and she like cut out these like stripes and like little Pac-Man and some dots and little ghosties, right, and like glued them all onto this certificate, and it was like certificate for one Pac-Man or whatever. And she gave that to me on my birthday, since she couldn't give me the actual game yet, and it was super cute. And I had that certificate for years, but I don't know where it is anymore. I hope it didn't get thrown away, but it may have. But it was super cute. Anyway, that's my Pac-Man story. Scrolling through. Oh, I'm up to the point now where we were having trouble with the mic. So hey, we got that fixed. Yay. Okay. There's everybody saying, "Oh, that sounds good now. Hooray." Totally not a fake user asked if I have a net dim for that Crazy Taxi. I do not. It's a it just has the it's the cartridge version. So it has the cart slapped on top of the Naomi in there. I have had a net dim here at one time. The Boss Battle folks had given me one to do some experiments with, and I promptly loaded 18-wheeler on the Crazy Taxi cabinet. It played, but what was the deal? The gas and the steering wheel worked, but the shifter did not shift, so I was stuck in low gear, so I couldn't go past a certain speed. But yeah, that was dumb. Um, Tiff said, time to dig for a second basement. Oh man, the sub basement. So, yeah, it's funny because I'm now that I've installed this carpet, right? I feel like I feel like I'm committed to staying in this house for a while. Another thing about this carpet is it is like this is commercial grade carpet. If you were going to, open up an arcade or a skating rink or a laser tag arena or a bowling alley or something like that, this is the type of carpet that you would be buying. So it is intended for heavy traffic, public abuse. That being said, it's in my house now, where it's going to get, 1/100th or 1/1000th of the amount of traffic that it would see in a public location. So I fully expect this carpet to outlive me. But anyway, man, I wish I had some more space. If I had it to do over again, I would probably build the bar smaller than I did. The back room is fairly large, but there's a bunch of mechanical stuff back there, like the air conditioning, the sump pumps, water softener, water heater, all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't really open it up a whole lot more, not easily anyway. So I think I'm kind of stuck with this, with the way it is, and frankly, it's probably for the best. Would running infrared lights alongside UV lights brighten the room for camera? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. And I don't know the answer to that question. But yeah. Anyway, Soup Saturn said, just came into the stream. Of course, this was, almost half an hour ago now. What's with the pads? Yeah, I will tell that story here in just a moment. Redstone Commander, you're sad that Keyboard Mania died. Yeah. The funny thing about Keyboard Mania, you're right, it is pretty challenging. But also, Keyboard Mania did not have ouch damage. So as long as you hit the correct keys at the correct time, anything else that you hit didn't matter. Which means that you could literally just like arm bash the keys, the whole keyboard in rhythm, and you would score well. It would sound like absolute garbage. But you would still score. Anyway. My dad was saying that I loved Dragon Slayer when I was a kid. That is true. I did. And I'm old enough to have, played Dragon Slayer as a kid. To have experienced the original the original hype in 1984. I think it was 84, 83 or 84, when it was the first video game to cost 50 cents, and literally people you would have to wait to play it, because there would just be massive throngs of people crowded around the machine all the time. I can remember as a young adult, so maybe college age, Dragon's Lair and Space Ace were the first games that I ever like thought about trying to buy for myself. And I happened to be in an arcade shop at one point, and I saw like they had them there, and I forget what they didn't want very much for them, like $400 or $500 each or something. They were non-working. They looked like they were just covered in dust. But like I said, I think I was either high school or college age at the time. So even though they were cheap, like $400 or $500 a piece, that was not cheap to me at the time. A, and then B, I didn't have a place to put them. What am I going to do? Shove it in my college dorm room? Like, that's not going to happen. So like that was a dream unrealized at the time. So gosh, that would have been probably mid 90s. I guess it would have only been early to mid 90s. It would only be, I guess, about 10 years, a little less than 10 years before I did actually have games of my own. But then it would be like another 10 years after that before I had Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. So, anyway. Yeah. I guess that's a childhood dream fulfilled. And the reality is, like, hardly anyone plays Dragon's Lair and Space Ace either. So if I made all of my decisions based on, like, amount of play, I should get rid of those machines. But I don't make all of my decisions based on amount of play. There is definitely a nostalgia factor involved. So I don't really foresee me getting rid of those. Kind of like the reason I still have original DDR. Do I need it now that I have the X cabinet? No, I don't really need it, but there's a lot of nostalgic value here, in that it was, this was my first cabinet, the first game I ever bought. So it would be hard to let go. Plus, the way I see it now, I've got this cabinet to play, first mix up through Supernova 2 on a CRT monitor. Looks great. Plays great. Then I've got the DDRX cabinet to play X through, modern, through whatever current is. Ace 3 now, I guess. Yeah. So that's how I justify keeping 2 DDR cabinets, I guess. The Classic Boy, I actually mentioned this already, but since you specifically asked, this pump cabinet was bought brand new in box as NX2. I had 2 GX cabinets that were used prior to it. The first GX cabinet I think I bought as Exceed 2. It was used, but apparently it had only been in somebody's house only, so they had bought it new. So it was very lightly used. The second pump cabinet that I got, the first one I bought, I went in halvesies with a friend, and then he eventually bought out my share, and so he took the cabinet. And so I bought another GX to replace it. That one came from a summer camp in Connecticut, I think, and it was in decent condition, but damn, was it dirty. When I first got it in, I plugged it in and brought up the sensor test, and I forget how many, but it was like 5 or 6 sensors were just stuck on, And I'm like, what's going on here? And I opened up the panels, and they were literally just like underneath the panel. That whole well was just like full of dirt. And there was so much dirt in there, it had gotten stuck like in the sensor wells and everything, and it was just a nightmare. So a shot back, and several hours later it was fine, but whew, what a mess. And then I sold that one because I had an opportunity to buy a brand new one. Redstone Commander, the hard pads disconnected from the cabinets. What am I doing? Fixing them or modding them? No, I haven't set them up yet. They got all the machines got torn down and moved so that we could install the carpet, and like the 10 machines that you saw from DDRX all the way over to 2DX here, those are set up and ready to play. Actually, that's a lie. DDR is not ready to play. It is set up and plugged in. You can turn it on, but the stage is actually not connected to it. But then once you get to this point, this is the point here where from here to this side of the basement, I've kind of put the machines generally where they're intended to go, but I haven't like plugged them in or set them up yet. So these are just the way they are because I haven't had a chance to finish setting up yet. Totally not a fake user. You mentioning a CX cabinet. I would love. I guess that is another cabinet that I thought about getting but did not do. The CX until the LX came out, the CX was my favorite pump cabinet design that they ever did. Just like the DDRX cabinet is my favorite DDR cabinet that they ever did. But the CX I would have liked to have had. I like that cabinet, and the Japanese version at least is low enough that it would fit under the ceiling in this room. I believe the normal CX is too tall, because the marquee is a little bit taller than the Japanese one apparently. The TX is too tall. The LX is too tall. I think the FX would fit here, but I'm not crazy about the FX. Obviously, the GX and the SX cabinets do fit, and that's why I still have. That's why I have one. I would assume the DX is too tall. Not that I want a DX anyway. An SD would work too, but I definitely don't want that. But I had considered getting a CX so that I would have a machine that was capable of playing XX 20th anniversary, because that game requires an HD monitor. So it's the only pump game that will not run on, a classic CRT cab. But it ultimately came down to, do I get the CX or do I get the DDRX? Both for space reasons and also money reasons. Like I don't have enough space for both, and I didn't have enough money to buy both either. So I ultimately chose the DDRX mostly because even though I actually like Pump better as a game than DDR, there's a lot of nostalgic value to DDR for me, because it's the one that I played first, and God, I love that DDRX cabinet, the design of it, and I had wanted one for a long time, and so I finally had the opportunity to get one, and so I took it. I like the CX cabinet design as well, but I don't like it as much as I like DDRX. So DDR won. DDR won that battle, and no regrets. And the reality too is that if I'd gotten a Pump CX cabinet, I would have it would have been only to play Double X. Because playing the older games on it, I would rather play the older games on this cabinet. So I likely would have I would have done the same thing that I'm doing with DDR, which is kept both of them and kept the classic machine to play the older games and kept the newer machine to play the newer games. But the thing about that is with Pump, it would just be like the one game. So, it didn't seem like as good a value proposition to me. Let's see. You're saying, Redstone Commander says, do not place something heavy like a chair in any Pump It Up or DDR pad. That would permanently damage the item. I assume that's because I'm sitting in a chair on the stage right now. I've done this before. It's fine. Like, you'll notice I specifically also made sure that the feet of the chair are on the panels, because I'm less likely to scratch them than the metal, and it would be an easier fix if I do. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I mean, is it a great idea? Maybe not, but like I said, I've done it before. No harm done. I don't weigh a ton, which I learned recently is 2,300 pounds, a ton. But yeah. Okay. Adrian is talking about things I should play when I get back to the Pump streams. We'll certainly get there. Bronx Yordle says it sounds like they would have taken 300 for it. I assume you're talking about the what do you call man, why the name just went away? Para machine. Possibly. I don't know. Like I said, I was lowballing them at 400. I expected them to say no. But they, like, without hesitation, were like, when can you come pick it up? And I was like, damn. Redstone Commander, Atari Pac-Man sucks. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It doesn't play well. It looks pretty terrible. It sounds gross. Soup Saturn, you feel like having this many cabinets would tank energy bills. Okay, so a lot of people say that, and two things. Number one, I don't keep them on all the time because there's no reason to do that. So they don't take any energy by being off, which is how they are most of the time. You'll notice they're all off right now. If I'm coming to play, if I'm going to play a game, I will only turn on the cabinet that I'm going to play, or cabinets if I'm going to play a couple. So That's whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know why people think arcade machines are like massive energy beasts, because they're basically like a computer. It's like you've got a computer and you've got a monitor, and that's an arcade game, basically. I mean, yeah, they'll have lights and stuff like that, and some of the machines do take a lot of power. 2DX is kind of a power hog. Gitadora is kind of a power hog, because they have a ton of lights on them that do take a lot of extra energy. Daytona is a power hog. The force feedback steering motors take up a lot of power, but it's been probably 3 or 4 years ago now. I actually went through. There's a device called the Kilowatt that you could get, and you can, and that's kill a watt, like kill KILL -A watt. It's a pun, but with that device, you can plug it into the wall, and then you plug something into it, and it can actually monitor the amount of power that a thing is taking. And I went and I used the Kilowatt on every machine that I owned, and I, worked it up, and I did a bunch of math, and basically what it came down to was, if I turned on every machine, so like a party situation, right, where I turn all the machines on, I believe it cost around, I think it was like 50 cents an hour to run them all. So, like, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, yes, 50 cents an hour would add up over time, obviously. If I just turned them on and left them on all day, all the time, yes, it would probably nuke my power bill, but that doesn't happen. So there you go. My dad says it was Ms. Pac-Man for my birthday. I'm going to have to disagree with you, because I never had Ms. Pac-Man. So, and I vividly, like, in my brain, I vividly remember the certificate that Mom made, and it was definitely for regular Pac-Man, not Ms. Now, I never had Ms. Pac-Man for the 2600. They did make a Ms. Pac-Man, but I probably played it at a friend's house, but I never had it myself. Bronx Yordle, someone who wants to get a DDR cab. When you get your own place, how much maintenance would you say goes into an average machine? So, I will say, especially if you're going to get a first gen, black cab now, you have to remember, these things are over 20 years old now. DDR premiering in 1998. Now, most of these cabinets got built in like 99, 2000, maybe 2001, but that's still, they're 20 plus years old. If you were buying my cabinet from me, it's not for sale, but if you were, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. But if you're buying it from an arcade, or somebody, where it's been, in public use, you can expect that it's going to be beaten to crap. Because it's been played for 20 plus years. Even if they've taken care of it, which unfortunately most of them have not been, but even if they have, it's going to be pretty worn. And so expect to put a lot of effort into bringing it up to, good playable condition when you first get it. Now, after that, if it's just you personally playing it, like, realistically, how much can you possibly play it by yourself, right? Um, not that much, you know. Even if you were only playing it for, 2 hours a day, which, quite frankly, would be a lot, over the long term. Like when you first get it, yeah, you're gonna put in, a couple of months of playing it every day and being real excited about it. But eventually, you're gonna be like, it's whatever, and you might play it, once a week or once a month even, and just the amount of play that you're going to put on it by yourself is going to be such a tiny, minuscule amount compared to what these things are designed for, that, like, ongoing maintenance, not that big of a deal. Like, I went through my machine when I first got it, and I think, which of course has been like 20 years ago now, almost 20 years ago, and I think I've done one major, like, cleaning and maintenance on it since. So, probably at around 10 years. And now it's gotten to the point where I probably need to do it again. So, 10-year intervals, like, that's not that bad in the grand scheme of things. Now, if you're the type of person that's going to have, literal parties every weekend and, people are going to play on it all the time, yeah, you might have to do it more, but, yeah, it's not terrible. Redstone Commander says I should get a smart outlet for every cabinet that I have. Honestly, I could, but I'm so, one thing, I could just, like, be like an arcade and just shut everything off at the breakers, right, and then turn everything on. But would a smart outlet be handy? Yeah, I guess. But the reality is most of these machines have front power switches. So you just open the coin door and the power switch is right there. So it's really easy to just turn it on and turn it off with that switch. So a smart power outlet is a lot of expense for a minimal convenience for me. Yeah, it's not. Many people have suggested such a thing, and I have not done it because it just doesn't seem necessary to me. But no, you're saying so I could turn them on and off with a timer? I don't know why I'd want to do that anyway, though. Yeah, I don't plug them. They're always plugged in. I just turn them off with the switch. So it's super low tech, but super easy. All right. Okay. It looks like I've gotten up to the present time on chat, which is great. So I can tell a story now, but I also need to go to the bathroom real quick. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back and I will share. I will share some stories. Now that I've gotten to the. Now that I've answered all the questions. So, I didn't make a be right back screen for this or anything like that, so sorry. But I'll be right back. All right, I am back, and you're looking at my back. Blader Kev, can I do a stream of Extreme Arcade? Yeah, I intend to. It's gonna be a while. Like I said, I'm gonna finish up Pump. So I've got Premiere 2, Prex 2, all the way to Prime 2 still left to do. So that's probably gonna be at least a month worth of streams, right? And then U-Beat will be after that. And I don't know. I haven't decided. I haven't decided what's going to be after U-Beat yet. But at that point, I will start thinking about the possibility of repeating games that I've already played, but different things. And going through the arcade versions of DDR is not something that I did before. I actually played a bunch of the CS games, so I like on my list is definitely doing a series of DDR like I've been doing with Pump. You know, starting with first and playing through probably to Supernova 2. You know, all on the classic ones, because I did X all the way to Ace 2 Plus on the new cabinet. So that is something that will happen in the future, but I don't know when. Same thing with Poppin'. There's a lot of Poppin' that I didn't play that I can, because I think I did what I do, Adventure through Toon Street. So there's a lot of games after Toon Street that I could play that I did not. And if I come up with a way to do it, playing some of the CS games, I might do that as well. So yeah, those are all on the table for the future, but that future, I don't know when I don't know when that will be, but yes. Okay, I worked this up in the most, yeah, exactly. Regen. That there's more games after Toon Street and there's more games before Adventure that I didn't play. So playing the games before Adventure would be hard for me because I don't have that hardware. But because I only have the PC hardware. So playing games after Toon Street I can do because it uses the same hardware. But playing what was before Adventure? Fever, I think. So playing all of that, 1 through 14, would require DJ Main that I don't have, Firebeat that I don't have, and Python 1 that... Actually, I do have a Python 1, but it's not set up to play Poppin'. So anyway, it would require me obtaining a lot of hardware that would be difficult to find at this stage. So I wouldn't anticipate streaming 1st through 14, but arcade anyway. But possibly the CS versions of them. Anyway, so I was just gonna, I picked up a bunch of, I pulled a bunch of pictures and a little bit of video of what we did during the carpet install, and I was just gonna share these with you in the most like jank way possible here. So I've got literally just my for whatever reason I couldn't capture this window it was being stupid. And here, let me pull the chat out too, so I can see it. Separately. Okay. So yeah, it wouldn't let me capture just the window for some reason, so I'm like just capturing half of my desktop. Yeah. Anyway, the carpet is it's literally glued to the concrete floor of the basement, and I ordered what was it? 20 gallons of glue in five 4-gallon buckets of this glue. And I ordered it from Home Depot, and this is how it got shipped to me. Like, I swear that it got delivered by UPS, and I swear that the guy must have just like pushed the boxes to the edge of his truck and then just like stepped on the gas and just let them like fall off the back, because this is how they ended up on my driveway. Also, like, they didn't even put them on my doorstep, they just chucked it into my driveway, and they were in like just horrible. Unfortunately, like, the buckets were fine, but the boxes that they came in, except for the one there that you can see, it, like, were just absolutely destroyed. And oddly enough, they only delivered 4 out of 5. The 5th one is just lost somewhere. I have no idea. I ended up calling Home Depot, and after the entire job was done, I had to buy another bucket at the store. But and after the job was done, I was like, hey, I never got this one, can you cancel it? And so they did. But I suppose it's not beyond the realm of possibility that I will receive a random bucket of carpet glue at some point. I hope that doesn't happen, because it's a pain in the butt, but that would be funny. Anyway, so I'm just gonna this is gonna be like vacation photos. I didn't take a ton of pictures, unfortunately, because so 2 things happened. Number one, the weekend before Adrian showed up to do the job, he arrived on Wednesday, and the Friday prior to him coming, this was about 3 weeks ago, I got sick. I had a very slight fever, and like I had like the body aches, and like runny nose, and I was kind of coughing, and I just had no energy, and I took a COVID test, and one of the at-home ones, and it was negative. And then after, like, by Sunday, I was feeling a little bit better, but still not great. I took a second COVID test. It was negative. And then by Tuesday, I think, I was still not feeling great. And Belinda was like, you should go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and they gave me another COVID test, and it was negative. But they're like, it seems like maybe you're having an allergy problem. And so they gave me a bunch of allergy meds to take for like 2 weeks. And, flash forward in 2 weeks' time, I still was like coughing and having a bunch of like, post-nasal drip and stuff like that. So I went back to the doctor again, and they're like, well, maybe it's bacterial. And so they gave me some antibiotics. And I'm about to take my last couple of tomorrow will be my last day of antibiotics, and I'm finally like starting to feel okay. My voice is better. It's I can't shout, like I can't raise my voice, and I can't sing, but I at least sound mostly normal, and I can talk without like strain. But yeah, the entire time that like the entire week that we were doing the carpet project, I had like I lost my voice. I had almost completely no voice, and and then like a week after that, it was still not really any better. Yeah. Anyway, that's the short version story, right? Anyway, unfortunately, since I had gotten sick right before Adrian was going to come, I didn't get a chance to do any prep. I had intended to like start breaking down machines and cleaning up, and so that we could hop in and do carpet, but I didn't do anything. I just didn't have the energy for it. Now, I mean, I could have done it, probably a month earlier, but I didn't. So, it's on me that I waited to the last minute. But when the last minute came, I just wasn't able to do any prep. So, I super thanks out to Adrian again, because if not only did he provide all of the expertise on getting the carpet installed, but he helped me tear down the basement as well, on the first 2 days. So when he arrived on Wednesday, like Wednesday and Thursday, we broke down games and stored them away. So 11 games went back into the storage area of the basement. So these pictures are in not the best order necessarily, but if you look here, you can see like all the way in the back there, you can see pump, and then right in front of it is DDR, and then Poppin got put in front of it, and then 2DX was slid into the side there. The 2DX stage is just like leaning up against the shelves back there. Actually, the DDR and pump stages are up against the wall, like standing upright against the wall behind pump, behind there. So they take up less space. The two cocktail cabinets got stacked on top of each other. Dragon's Lair and Space Ace got, pushed in there. Daytona got packed in. Crazy Taxi, and then like pushed the candy into the doorway and then closed the door. So that was 11 cabinets, and that's counting Daytona as one. They got shoved back into the back of the back into the storage room. That left another, I think, 10 cabinets that were left in the main basement area, because that was as many as we could fit in that storage area. 2 of them got stuffed into the bar, which, like I said, has a different floor. So Adrian changed out that floor first real fast, and then we put a couple cabinets in there, and then the rest we just kind of gathered together in a couple sections of the basement, so that we could on the first day we carpeted like half the basement, let it dry overnight, and then on the second day we moved all the machines from the one side of the basement to the side that had just been carpeted, and then carpeted the rest of the basement. Oh yeah. Jay Palmer. Yeah, well, so I am an old man. I'm and yeah, I mean this is definitely like the equivalent of vacation photos. And yes, I'm definitely gonna tell the stories and well, for a long time, right? That was like a fixture in my streams was dumb stories. I'd be like, oh, I've got a dumb story about that. I haven't told very many dumb stories lately, but this whole stream is nothing but dumb stories. So there you go. Anyway, this next thing up is actually video when we first got the carpet delivered and we were opening it because we had to make a cut in the carpet. It got delivered, so the carpet comes as a 12-foot wide roll, and I ordered 130 feet of that. Actually, I think I ordered 113 feet of it, because you have to get more than you need because it gets trimmed in different places and all that kind of stuff. But then, in addition to the amount that you order, they make 10% more carpet because the way this carpet is made, it's actually printed. So the carpet is made white, and then they print the design that you want on it, and then apparently they run it through a dryer to like set the ink and make it make it color fast and so it'll be durable. And the drying is a heat process, and apparently it can cause the carpet to shrink a little bit. So they add 10% to whatever you order, so that if it shrinks, if it shrinks, you will still get at least whatever you ordered. And as it turned out, mine did not shrink that much, so I ended up with like I think 130 feet of it. When they shipped it, it would have come on one giant roll that was like 660 pounds, but I had them cut it into one roll that was I think 47 feet, and then the rest, so whatever 130 minus 47 is, they don't. So that became our one long cut that we used as is. But we would have had them cut it a second time into like another, like 47, 46 roll, but that would have left a pretty short final roll, which would have only been like 20 or 30 feet long. And they were telling me that they don't really like to ship rolls less than 50 feet. So even like the one that I had already done at 47 was a little less than they would like. But they said the smaller rolls have a tendency to get damaged in transit, so they don't like to send them. They don't like to cut it shorter than 50. They said they'd do it if I asked them to do it, they would do it. But I was like, okay, I'll take your advice. So we got a 47 roll, and then whatever the rest of that was, the bigger roll we had to roll out and make a cut ourselves, because we had to carry the carpet down the hill on the side of the house to get it down to the basement. And that massive roll, number one, is just too hard to deal with in the basement because it's too big. But number two is just too fucking heavy to move anywhere and do anything with. So we rolled it out onto the driveway. I'm gonna play this video because you can hear what I sounded like. This was like when my voice was first starting to go. It got worse than this, honestly, but you can. Oh, hold on. I gotta turn that sound on. Boop. Is that working? Hold on. Why is there no sound? Oh, because it's muted. Why do you hate me? I pushed the unmute and it doesn't do it. It doesn't unmute. One moment, please. Every tech issue I can possibly have, I'm just going to have right now. Okay. So that works. There we go.
I believe we are about to see, for the first time, our Nitro 2 blacklight reactive carpet. We'll
So
be
you can
going
hear
into
my
the
frog
basement.
voice there.
So they don't cut his thumb off.
As long as Adrian does not cut his thumb off.
You get ER inside.
No, we do not want to see the ER today, or really any day, for that matter. I was at the urgent care /ER earlier this week, because apparently I have a sinus infection, which is why I sound like an absolute frog today, but, you know, whatever. At least it wasn't COVID.
Those carpet knives are scary as fuck, by the way.
I had already taken 2 home tests that were negative, and then they tested me again at the clinic, and I was also negative, so I was just like, okay.
It's kind of like a utility knife,
Ooh.
except the blade doesn't retract.
Heck
And
yeah,
it's like
look at that.
10 times sharper.
It's a spicy meatball.
Things are scary.
Ooh. So, again, being 1,000% ignorant about carpet,
Yeah.
what is going on at the edge there? What's happening with all this extra thread?
That's just like where they end the line. So like if you think about it as like a woven piece that's in there.
It looks like
You-
something was stitched onto it that got ripped off, because it's
Yeah.
not.
So I can already tell you how this is going to seem.
Uh-huh.
Do you see this piece right here?
Yep.
You can see that piece over there.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, so you just cut the unprinted area off.
yeah. So all I'm actually going to have to do is I'm just going to match this piece on top of that piece, and so it will be about. It'll probably be about like 3 rows in or so.
So this is the
That's my best
big
guess.
roll.
I'll know more in there, but we don't
And
have to
I-
cut something dramatic.
Do you
Started referring to this.
do you have
not in
tape
the
measure
video,
real
but-
quick?
But during the project, I started
Yeah, it's right
referring
there.
to this as the murder roll.
I'm curious.
Because if you see in the background there,
Is
you can see
the
the
printed
47
area
foot roll
exactly
that they
12
shipped
feet?
us.
Yeah.
I called that the reasonable roll, and then this was the murder roll that we cut into
So interestingly,
another
this carpet
reasonable roll.
apparently
and
is
an
produced
easy roll.
white, and then they print the pattern, the design on
12 foot 1 inch.
12 foot. Well, you're going crooked.
12 foot 1 inch
Okay.
for the most part. Like it's like 12 foot 7 inch, but pretty much 12 foot 1 inch.
Okay. Nifty. So is this good?
Yeah. So, I mean, this little knife thing right here
Yeah.
is this thing over here. It looks like, right? So I don't think.
Yeah, it is. It is actually what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's the edge of the finished edge
Yeah.
mates exactly to the other finished edge.
Yeah. So that's cool. It's neat. It's a cool product. So yeah. So that means it'll be fun. Let's kick it out. Actually, let's pull it a little bit. So I'm gonna pull this out.
What we're discussing
All right.
here, by the
I'm
way,
gonna-
is the basement is
Do you need my help? I assume.
is wider than 12 feet. So that means that the carpet needs to be seamed in some places where, where one roll will meet up with another roll. And so we were talking about how to do the pattern matching
So we're about to.
so that it
Let her
looks
fly.
like one piece.
What does
even
it
though
say?
it's not.
Stop what? There's a little.
Huh?
There's a little tag there. Stop something.
Oh, it's trying to tell you how to.
You cut it. You own it.
Right. That means to like inspect it beforehand. We'll inspect quite a bit of it beforehand. So. Come on, Leo. Good girl. Smell that new carpet smell?
Sure do. Despite my congestion, yes, I can smell that.
Smell of freedom right there.
Oh boy.
Oh, it looks like my main camera stopped, didn't it? Lol.
Okay, so.
Look, you're tailing this
Oh.
stitch out.
Yeah, here, I'll
Hilarious.
There we go.
Okay, so let's do some math.
Okay.
We can go shopping later. Not really.
Okay, I'm gonna stop for a second.
Anyway, so we rolled it out on the driveway, and we made our cut, and then we had 2 medium-sized rolls and 1 pretty small roll that we took down.
All right.
Oh yeah,
Here we
this
go,
was
yep.
us breaking up the wood floor.
Goodbye work from I don't know how many years ago.
That I was telling you about in the
15
center of
years
the
ago.
basement.
This one's caught under the bar a little bit.
I know. So I'm gonna pull this one out.
You did it.
This one. I need a flat bar.
And so we just ripped up all these boards, and you can see over on the right side there, it's already been detached, but that bronze gold looking strip is what ran between the carpet and the wood floor that I was telling you about. And like I said, having that there kind of limited where I could put some machines, because I didn't want to span a machine across that barrier between the carpet and the wood floor. Then we were wrapping up, pulling up the old carpet. If you look, so the floor underneath is just concrete, but the previous owners of the house had painted it to look like tile. But if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, like down here, the floor looks wet because it was. As it turned out, I had no idea this was happening. There's an ice maker in the bar, and it had the supply line to it had been leaking probably for years. Like I had no idea it was happening, because it was leaking behind the ice maker where I wouldn't see it, and it was going underneath the floor, and then like it was all the way underneath the both the wood panels, and there's like a styrofoam, like a plastic styrofoam layer underneath it. So the water was being trapped between the plastic layer and the concrete. So when we ripped it up, we found like just standing water hanging out under there. Not a lot, but some. And because it had been wet, the paint was starting to peel where the water was. So we ended up having to like scrape it to get to the bare concrete so that the glue would stick to it. But then we threw out, like, this was rolling the carpet out for the first time. That white strip in the middle is the edge, so that was going to be our first seam. And there's Adrian, like, working on finding the seam so that he could cut the edge off of each side, so that when they join together, it'll look like one piece.
I changed my mind last minute.
Okay.
I do that a lot. I'm sorry.
Actually, this might be him actually making that cut.
Freaks my kids out.
And now you can see where on the left it's been cut, and on the right you can still see like the rough edge of the uncut carpet. And then here you can see that we've cut both sides, and there's a gap in the middle. And so now what we had to do is like bring the two together so that they would, match and fit. And then you peel them back and you spread the glue, and then you drop the one side down, and that's Adrian putting in this seam sealer. It's like a that when we drop the second layer down, it'll seal it together. And then you can see, we've got the two sides both dropped now. There's Tim running the roller. So we had this 100-pound roller that you like roll over the carpet to get it to like sit down into the glue. Oh yeah, there was all of the machines that were just kind of like crushed into one area of the basement. These are the ones that wouldn't fit in the in the storage room. And there was a lot of just mess. Like, unfortunately, since I didn't do any prep, and we were under, some real time constraints because Adrian was only here for a week, we, like, the whole tear down and whatever, did not. It was done as quickly as possible, and there was a lot of things that were just kind of haphazard. But Adrian actually slept on the futon down here. But then this is, after we got done, this is like the main section. If you see over on the right, on the far right, there are the stairs coming down. So this is that first area that you walk into. And this is when I started putting, machines back where they're going to go. This is the garage. I took all of the stuff that was in the storage room, and we just chucked it into the garage to make room for the machines. I've been meaning to go through that storage room literally for years. I think I've done it I think I've had like 3 aborted attempts over the last 10 years where I've gone into the storage room and I'm like, okay, I'm going to clean all this stuff out and organize it. And so I like pull all of the stuff out of the room and I start, sorting through it. But then like something happens and I'm going to have guests or whatever. And so I have to just abort and I just like cram everything back into the room. So like very little gets sorted or thrown away. And then it all gets like shoved back into the storage room haphazardly. And then over the years, things just get added to it. And so there was just tons of boxes and just random stuff like all over the floor in there. So we just took it all out and put it in the garage to make room for the machines to be. I would say about 2/3 of this has been cleaned out of the garage now. I've still got some stuff in the garage that I need to deal with, but it's finally getting I'm finally getting somewhere. Then see, the nice thing about it being in the garage is 2 things. Number 1, I didn't get to park my car in the garage, and then so that's motivation to get it done. And then number 2, rather than being in the basement, it's already upstairs in the garage. It's a shorter trip to the garbage than it is back down into the basement. So the likelihood of me actually getting rid of it is much higher. So that's, thumbs up, A+ arrangement. I had to rent a dumpster for the first time. I've never done this before. But we had to. I had to have some place to throw all of the old carpet and all the wood floor, and then all of the trash that I was trying to get rid of that came out of the storage room. Like in the past, whatever projects we've done have all been small enough that even like carpet, I could cut it into small rolls and put it in the garbage can and just let it get, it might take me 2 or 3 weeks of time, but eventually it goes away in the regular garbage. I've literally thrown toilets away in my garbage can when I've put new toilets in, but like this was just way too much. Like it was not going. I wasn't going to be able to. I wasn't going to be able to hold on to it long enough without it being just like a gigantic pain to get rid of it in the garbage. So I rented a dumpster, and you know what? Renting a dumpster is not cheap. It's like $500 to rent a dumpster, and that includes them, hauling it away and getting rid of all the stuff. So I mean, that's nice, but man, that was a bummer. But anyway, this dumpster is the size of my car. I could actually park my car in it if I really wanted to, but I didn't because my car is brand new, and I'm not throwing it away yet. But like, this was the back porch. You could see all of the floor, all the wood floor that, stacked up, and then like all of the old carpet just kind of like chucked on top of it, and that all just got, carried upstairs or carried up the hill, I should say, and chucked into the dumpster. It really only filled about a quarter of the dumpster, really, like by area, as you can see. You can also see there's a lot of scraps of the new carpet that got trimmed off for, as it was put together. I have several feet still of the new carpet rolled up in the storage room now. The bigger pieces I kept, but the smaller pieces that were not really worth anything, or that were like weird odd shapes, they got thrown away. Oh yeah, this is that half of the basement with everything turned on. This is what you would have seen during my tour How long have I been on? 2 hours? 3 hours? Yeah, this like 2 hours ago when I was giving the live tour, but everything was off. And then the section that I'm sitting in now that is not quite put back together yet. This is how the DDR and pump stages were, just like standing up against the wall behind everything that was, stuffed into the storage room. And that's the reason why they're the way they are in the room now. I know, like, I teased this 2 hours ago when people were asking, like, why are the stages like that? Basically, they're too wide to fit through a doorway. So they had to come out on a little cart, upright, and I basically just rolled them out into the room, into the general vicinity of where they're gonna be, and then we just like laid them down. So they're sitting the way they are because, laziness, I guess, is the bottom line. It was just like, get them out of the storage room and lay them down, and I'll deal with it later. So that's why they're kind of in like this challenge mode, front to back arrangement that they are right now. But I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Oh yeah, that was still like all of the machines that were still in storage, but they're all out in the basement now. But yeah, while I had the dumpster here, I took the opportunity to throw out anything big that I've been like holding on to for years for no reason. Like, you can see, like, there's a big cabinet there that and then there's like some furniture. There's actually 3 tables in here. Like, there was an old card table, a patio table, and the table that was in like the dinette area, the nook in our kitchen. We're ready to like just get rid of stuff, right? So that's the state of the dumpster. That box that's labeled clothing wardrobe, there was a artificial Christmas tree in there, and the bottom of it is all water damage from the time, well, either the time that the water heater leaked, or the time that the humidifier leaked, or both. Probably both. So yeah, this was the time to get rid of all the gross trash that I wanted to get rid of. But you can see, like, by volume, there's still a decent amount of space that I could have filled up in there. There's probably 1 or 2 things that if I had had more time, I probably would have gotten down into the dumpster, but I definitely got rid of, literally a decade or 2 worth of crap that I've been wanting to get rid of for a long time. So I feel pretty good about that. Night Saturn is alluding to a funny thing that happened, or that I already told him about yesterday. So I was telling you that it was like $500 to rent the dumpster. That included 1 ton of waste, and if you go over 1 ton, then they charge you an overage. And after they picked up the dumpster, which actually is pretty funny, if you notice, so this is the back end of the dumpster. It has a door that closes, and this is kind of you can see that it's like kind of empty on this side, but it was more packed in the front of the dumpster. If you go back to when the dumpster was delivered, you can see that that when they pick it up and drop it off, it gets picked up. The front end of it gets picked up in the air. So when they came to pick up the dumpster, I didn't watch them pick it up, but I could hear it. Like, I was in the house and I could hear, the truck come up, and I could hear like all of this shit like slide to the back of the dumpster when they picked it up, because it was just like you could hear this like shh, clunk, 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 like just this horrible noise. But anyway, a few days after they picked up the dumpster, I got an email, and I was like, "Huh, what's this?" And I was like, they're like, "You've been charged an overage because you were over 1 ton," and I was like, "Oh no," because I was like, "Oh geez, like how much is this going to cost me?" But apparently they prorate it, and I forget what the rate was, but it was only like, I think a second ton is like $80 or something like that. But apparently I went 0.05 tons over 1 ton. And so they billed me $4. And I was like, at that point I was like, my stress was relieved. It wasn't going to be like, tons more money. But then I was just thinking, I was laughing to myself. I was like, gosh, was it really worth your time to bill me $4? But, oh well. Anyway, I forget if there's... Oh, I guess that's the last picture. Oh, so we end on a low note of garbage. Yeah, let's end on this, right? That's better. So, anyway, that's the story. That's the story of getting carpet installed. I can turn this part off now. I can see I lost like half of my audience with my my old man slideshow about installing carpet. But that's okay. Thank you for everybody who's still here. I appreciate you. Looking at that picture makes you feel like a 10-year-old again. Well, I'll just say that when I was a 10-year-old, we didn't have any of this stuff. I'm guessing you're a lot younger than me. At least it wasn't on microfilm. So, true story, legit. Like, if you look at pictures of me as a child, so like probably under the age of 5, they are actually probably on slides. Like, actual slides that you put in a slide projector and like put on and go on the wall. Because that's how old I am. It does feel weird to have the Beat Mania cabinet there. I tinkered... here, actually, let me show you. Where is it? Where did it go? I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera or not, but a little bit, somewhat. But I have this floor plan of the basement, and you can see like all the cabinets. There's like a color code to the cabinets that used to denote like which electrical circuit they were on. Each was on, because I had to do a bunch of balancing at one point, because if you put too many machines on one circuit, then like you'll blow the breaker. but those colors are no longer relevant. I might have to redo the balancing now because everything's moved around. And then you'll see there's some cabinets that are like gray in color. The gray ones denote the ones that will fit underneath that bulkhead. So that was a nice little trick for me. But I experimented with a bunch of different layouts. I think probably gosh, I probably did maybe 5 or 6 different layouts before I finally came up with this plan, which is basically what you see here. The only difference is in this plan, Technica and Groove Coaster were next to 2DX, and Dance Maniacs and Papa Music were over by Ghidorah. But I ended up flipping them once I started putting things in, mostly for theming purposes, because it felt like having Groove Coaster and Technica, over by the more modern games made more sense, and then bringing Pop and Music and Dance Maniacs down this way toward the machines that are closer to their age felt right. Plus that, like I said, that brought all of the that put all of the LCD games together, and then put all of the CRT games together as well, with the one exception being 2DX, which technically was a CRT game for a while, so just isn't in my setup. But I had thought about leaving one of the designs actually kept DDR there and 2DX here, and then put Pump where 2DX is. But my issue with that was because of the stage, right? Pump or DDR is very deep, and I was afraid that having Pump over there with the stage would make the space between the cabinet and the bar too small, and it would make it hard for people to walk. So I decided to put 2DX over there, because it has a stage as well, but it's much narrower than Pump or DDR. There was another plan too, where we went with where I did Pump, DDR, and 2DX across that wall there, which would have left space behind where I'm sitting right now. But I didn't love that. It would have still closed the space between the DDR and Pump and the bar area a little bit, but also it would have blocked. There's a window right here, and that would have put a cabinet directly in front of the window and blocked it for the most part. And I don't know. I like having a window if I can, even though I never open it. Anyway, let's see. My dad says this was my best stream. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was probably the most interesting to you since you're not super into any of the games, but I don't know. This is not actually that. I mean, since obviously this was all talking, but and no gameplay, but I will say it's not unusual for me for my streams for them to be, this same 3-hour length and be half talking. Definitely interacting with the chat and telling stories and all that kind of stuff is super fun for me. So, like, I like doing that kind of stuff. But what was my dad confirming? I missed what that was in reference to. And the Bronx, you were born in 96, so yes, you were very much younger than me. I was born in 75. So I can see why these games would remind you of being 10. These are not the games that would remind me of being 10. The games that would remind me of being 10 would be like, gosh, I mean, well, Pac-Man would have been a little bit old already when I was 10. What was around in 85? 84, 85. So, like, Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, I was 9. Trying to think what else was, like, really popular right around that time. But, yeah. Anyway. I digress. The microfilms. Oh. Yeah, like I said, not microfilm, but slides, definitely. My childhood pictures are on slides. Yeah, Bronx Yordle, you said it makes sense to have the dance game side by side. I mean, this is the way they've been most of the time that I've had them, is in this location right next to each other. I have this, like, crazy dream. I would love to do, like, an 18-panel double-double if there was any way to, like, link pump and DDR so that you could have, like, one contiguous chart that used, you know, all 4 positions of the of both stages. I think that would be super, super cool. Yeah, that would be a big project for another day. And Boss Battle, hello. I know I'm... Oh, are you at the convention? Trent and Felicia. Dumpster Talk is my best stream. Is Dumpster Talk, is that trash talking? Am I doing it right? Galaga, I mean, Galaga was certainly popular in, like, 85, but I think Galaga's from, like, 81. So, like, by the time I was 10, it would have been a mature game. Now, would I have seen Galaga around when I was 10? Absolutely. Like, it was still quite popular then, so that's fair. Oh, man. That's right. Night Saturn's asking about the air conditioning at Boss Battle, because earlier in the summer it was not working, and it was definitely, you know, like 90 degrees in the arcade there, and it was brutal. Yeah. It is patched to the point that it works. Hopefully, you know, for the rest of the year until the mall decides to get a new air conditioner for them. But I will tell you, actually, Night Saturn, I went there maybe a week or two after you were in town, and it was downright frigid in there in the arcade. I was actually a little chilly, at least in the main arcade. You were talking about Daytona being fire? Yeah, it's still warm by Daytona. It's always warm by Daytona. Dumpster Talk should be a podcast. Tempest. I think Tempest is earlier 80s than 2. I mean, again, it still would have been popular and around. I'm basically Bronx Jordan was saying, just to like fill the gap here, that the picture of the other side of the basement, which would have been like, DDR-X down, Sound Voltex, U-Beat, Gitadora, all that stuff, he was like, oh, it reminds him of being 10. And I was thinking, I'm guessing you're pretty young, so 10 would have been not that long ago. And so we determined that was, mid 2000s, what it would have been then. So actually, I think some of those games might be a little bit new for you being 10. But anyway, I was saying, like, we didn't have any of those when I was 10. When I was 10, it was 1985, and I was trying to come up with games that were popular in 1985. And like I said, Tempest, that's a good question. I feel like Tempest is a little earlier than 85. But let me look. Yeah, 81. But yeah, definitely would have still been, when I was 10 and walked into an arcade, seeing a Tempest would not be unusual. Wouldn't have looked so stressed playing House of the Dead. Oh man, it was so funny when we were there Night Saturday, because I remember, I played a couple of games of DDR, which is way up at the front of the arcade, by that massive fan that they had out, and was I warm? Yes, sure, but like I was okay. But then we went and played House of the Dead, which is much deeper into the arcade, and it was like, man. And then when we got to Daytona, which is all the way in the back, like I played one game of Daytona and I had sweat, I think, like 3 times more than playing 2 games of DDR. I was just like, good Lord, it was so hot. But anyway, all right, well, we did it. Yeah, Space Invaders, again, when I was 10, would I have seen it? Absolutely, but Space Invaders is even older. I think Space Invaders is like 79. Space Invaders predates Pac-Man. '78. Holy crap, yeah, it's super old. But, all right, well, I wasn't sure that this was going to be a 3-hour stream, but here we are. My original intent, honestly, was that, I would tell all the stories and then I would start working on setting up, finishing setting up these cabinets. But, yeah. I guess I'm gonna not do that because I'm a little hungry and I'd like to eat. But oh man, next stream blacklight tests. I still have to figure out like how to capture blacklight well on camera. It'll definitely be a thing. But anyway, next stream I should hopefully have this stuff set up, and I can get back to the Pump It Up streams. That's my goal. I would love to get it done for tomorrow, but I'm not going to guarantee it. But watch the channel. I'll try to I will announce it as soon as I'm comfortable that it will happen. So Yeah. But it's wild, actually. I did do some blacklight tests when I had the carpet samples. Actually, let me go grab one real quick. We did this. We did this on stream at one point, like a month or so ago. But before they sent me the, before I bought the carpet, they sent me 2 samples actually. This is one of them. The second sample was this same design, but the lighter blue was replaced with like a dark navy blue that didn't glow, because I was a little afraid that the carpet was going to be too bright, but I was judging it, like on screen, on a website, and once I got the actual like physical object and I looked at it and I was like, oh no, it's fine. Let's leave it the way it is. But Belinda and I had gone through and looked at probably, so they have, I would guess, I don't know, maybe 50 different patterns that you can order. And I think Belinda and I narrowed it down to maybe half a dozen that we were considering. And I did some visualization like in Photoshop, and we looked at a few. I did a stream about that actually too. And then we finally narrowed it down to this design, which was called Nitro 2. And then, like I said, they sent me this one and a slightly modified version of it that was darker. But I ultimately, once I saw it in person, I was like, nope, the regular version is what we're going to do. And so that was it. But what was interesting is I did do some tests with some portable blacklights on these samples, and they were laying like on the on the pump stage, and it's so interesting to see what things are blacklight reactive, not only in the carpet but like on pump. Because when I had the blacklight on, like there was a kind of a dim glow on the monitor face, and a dim glow on the base neons, and then some of these colors too, popped out too. But that makes sense because the base neons, they're not actual neon, but they're phosphors, and they're activated by, they're phosphors of a certain color, in this case blue, which are activated by UV light, which is generated inside the tube. So it makes sense that UV light coming from outside the tube would make them glow too. And then probably the same thing with CRTs, is like those phosphors probably, react to UV light the way they would to the electron guns that would normally run them. So it was kind of neat. But anyway, I was going to say the second sample, I have pieces of it, but it got destroyed because when Adrian first showed up, he wanted to test some things, because he'd never, like I said, he used to install carpet professionally, but he's never worked with this specific brand of carpet or before. So he wanted to test it to make sure that he would be able to like find the seams correctly, and to make sure that the cutters that we got would, cut it the way that he was expecting, and that everything would work the way that he expected it to. And so he was like, can I test that out on your sample? And I was like, yeah, sure, because we didn't have the real carpet yet. Plus, we wouldn't want to test it on the real carpet because we wanted to know that it was going to work before we did anything with the real carpet, because, if you make a mistake on the real carpet, oh shit. So yeah, that's where the second sample ended up. It got cut into like 3 or 4 pieces. But yeah, it was nice that I had 2 samples. Actually, they offered to send me up to 3. They would have, because they sent the samples for free. Like, they didn't charge me for them at all. So I could have had a 3rd sample, but we had already decided on this pattern, so I didn't end up getting a 3rd. But oh well. Anyway, okay, well, we've made it to 3 hours. I've made it to 3 hours. This is I think the most I've talked continuously since my voice has been back, and it is starting to feel a little bit rough again. So I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead and wrap this up for tonight. But as always, thanks for hanging out and listening to my dumb stories. Hope you all found something to be interesting, and stay tuned. Hopefully I will be back, if not tomorrow, hopefully very soon, to continue with Pump It Up. But until then, I hope you all have a great night and a great weekend, and I will see you soon. So, take care, everyone. Bye.